Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, on episode 320. Hello. Hope you are doing well. Hope everyone is happy and healthy and whole. Let's get into these topics. I want to start off with Eboni K. Williams. Yes, EKW. So she has recently announced that she is pregnant and she is giving birth to a baby girl, her first child, and she's giving birth in August, like literally coming up. So she's been pregnant for a while now, but she has made it public literally just a couple of days ago. And for those who may not be familiar of Eboni K. Williams, she is known for her commentating. Her comments lately have been very much bashing men, bashing Black men, uh not giving any attention to Black men who aren't on her level, kind of uppity, kind of snooty. And she does it in a way that's very like, I'm so much more intelligent, so much more accomplished, and you have to be on my level. So she was known for that viral video a few months ago. We talked about it here, and she was on her show with Iyanla Vincent, who I love. Iyanla fixed my life. Iyanla, I miss that show. But anyway, she was on her show. Iyanla was a guest on it, and they talked about, like, Iyanla posed her the question, would you date a bus driver? Would you date a bus driver? And this is what, let me go ahead and just set this up. This is what Eboni K. Williams says. She basically denounced, uh, working class people, working class men. And she said basically, if he owned the bus, she would date him only if he owned the bus. So I wanted to specifically find that exact clip and then play that. Because that was a time she got eaten alive by DJ Envy, because she was featured as a guest on The Breakfast Club shortly after this video went viral. And DJ Envy was like, this was basically so snooty and nasty for you to say. Like, who do you think you are? Why would you shit? You just shitted on all the working class men in America. Yada, yada, yada. So let's go ahead and get into this clip before we proceed.
Fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, along with Latina women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men in 22 of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, DC, LA, you name it. When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
So let's just go ahead and talk about that part real quick. So she's painting the picture that basically it's difficult for a lot of women to find a good man or a man who is worthy of them because these men aren't up to par to the women in comparison to the women. So the men maybe don't have their bachelor's or master's or any degree at that. Maybe he's working a very simpleton type of job, and it's not as respected in the professional field or just in society based on his socioeconomic class, based on his income that's coming in, yada yada yada. So she's painting that, and she's saying, like, basically, how can women really tap into this soft life era, this divine feminine era, if these men aren't in their divine masculine era, if these men aren't providing, but Ebony's sense of provision is to the caliber that she is, if not more. So let's say that Eboni K. Williams is making 6 figures a year, maybe even more, who knows? But again, she's not known for we know her as this commentator. I think she's actually a lawyer as well. I don't know if she's currently practicing law. Let me look her up some more because I don't know what else. I know she was on Real Housewives of New York, and because of her, that is why Real Housewives had to stop their programming for some time. So yeah, she's a talk show. Yeah, she is a lawyer. She is a lawyer, but I doubt that she's currently practicing. And I don't know exactly what she is lawyering about. But nonetheless, she's all these things. She's very established. She's very put together, and it's commendable, and she wants her man to be on that same level, if not greater. And look, we could all have our preferences. We could have these expectations or mandates, but the statistics don't lie. Numbers don't lie. For her to want, let's say she's specifically only wanting a Black man, because she kind of alludes to saying she's dated white men before, she's dated men outside of her ethnic background, her racial background, and she dabbled, with her last husband, her first husband, her ex-husband is a white man. So she's been there, quote unquote, done that. So she's trying to focus it in on just Black men. And with the statistics that we have, there aren't a lot, if not any. I mean, yes, there are some, sure. But let's be very specific here. You want a Black man who's making 6 figures, if not more, who is very established in his career, who looks good, who is well cultured, who isn't already married and isn't already in a relationship. And you see how I'm emphasizing those last parts there? Because typically those men are snatched up. Hello? This goes back to my last episode. These highly desirable men are typically snatched up. So it's either you are on the ship of being one of the 2 women he's with, or you turn a blind eye to it. Regardless, I feel like sometimes women, we go into these dating pools expecting to be the only available woman, right? And the only woman who wants this highly desirable man. And the numbers don't lie. There aren't a lot of men as there are women here in America. Let's be specific to America, unless you want to go abroad, unless you want to be a passport sis or passport bro. It's difficult. It's difficult. So all in all, you're tightening the window and you're making your options few and far in between. Okay?
Would you date a bus driver?
You know what I love about Iyanla? She gives it to you straight. Because the first minute and 8 seconds, or like 6 seconds before Iyanla started talking or asking this very direct question, Eboni is giving this very well articulated, high SAT vocabulary usage words in her monologue here. And she poses a very just profound question, while Iyanla responds with, would you date a bus driver? Let's get to the point. Would you date a bus driver? Let's just go back real quick. That's just so funny to me.
They are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some.
She's talking, they're not positioned to protect nor provide. And how can we as women stand in our divinity while a man, she's talking very, very well spoken. She's speaking in this high vocabulary sense, right? And it's fine. It's just funny. Just the contrast is hilarious.
Some of the statistics we just talked about, they're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources. And some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date?
If he owns the bus. If he owns.
No. There we go. So I'm giving you guys this background video as context here, okay? As context to the type of woman Eboni K. Williams is, and how she is not someone who will, quote unquote, settle. And I've talked on here before many a times that we all settle in many ways. Mostly women, we do. But for the most part, settling is just an experience that we all are doing. And that's for the fact of, no one's perfect. And not everyone will have all that you need or desire. You have to determine what are your non-negotiables. And even at that, you have to also be realistic. You have to be realistic. So some of these non-negotiables that people have, that women will have, like, oh, he can't, I'm done if he cheats. It's like, well, what are the odds of you finding another man who won't? Right? Who won't do the same thing, or who won't. And I feel like I'm coming off like, dang, you got no self-esteem. I promise you I do. I do have self-esteem. I do. Do I have high self-esteem? I do. I'm just someone who's very realistic. And I feel like we have been told and conditioned to believe a lie as women. And it's not just that, right? It's also is the fact that, yes, growing up as young girls in America, we're watching these well-produced shows and movies that centers around this specific type of romantic relationship. And if you dare to not have a relationship that resembles that, right? A prince and his princess, and finding your Prince Charming, and all these like fantastical realities, quote unquote. If you dare to have a different life, then you're failing, then you have no self-esteem, yada, yada, yada. And so it continues in our adulthood. Women are constantly bombarded with images and just media in general and music about, oh, if he cheats, that means he never loved you. Or, oh, once a cheater, always a cheater. All of these like negative, these like fixed mindset. This fixed mindset when it comes to this specific thing, when we have to realize we are natural humans. We're not concocted in this robotic state. We're not AIs. We're not people who, we're not like regimented. We're not. I know we all try to be. We have these aesthetically pleasing displays on Instagram and TikTok, and we think that life is supposed to be this specific fashion, but it's not that at all. So back to this. Iyanla poses the question, would you date a bus driver? Very plain and clear. Clearly, Eboni K. Williams is uncomfortable with this question. She first tries to act like Iyanla wasn't talking to her, which obviously she is talking to her. And then Eboni K. Williams responds with, if he owned the bus. What does that say right there? What does that say right there? It says that Eboni K. Williams does not value a man who happens to drive a bus for a living. She does not think a man who drives a bus for a living has any value or can have value in her life. She doesn't make that match. She feels like, okay, well, if he's not making a certain amount, the stereotype of a bus driver making less than what she expects or than what she deserves will conflict with this fantastical image that she has for her future partner, when it's just not real, ma'am. You are 40 years old and you're having these concocted imagery and beliefs about your man, and he doesn't exist. He doesn't exist. He's not straight. He's not fully single. And even if he was fully single, he's not only going to be with you. And he's like, there's going to be something you're settling with. So anyway, she speaks down on men who are bus drivers, and this idea of like, oh, well, if he owns the bus, I would prefer that. Oh, he owns this bus company. Okay, but he could still be an ain't shit person, right? He could still be someone who is untrustworthy, who doesn't follow through with what he says, who isn't straightforward, who isn't a provider. He could be very cheap. There are rich people who are cheap, who don't like to share their money, share their resources, be generous in any way.
If he owns the bus,
that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women. And
there we go. Absolutely. The standards and how women characterize men are off. Nowadays, they're off because women have been conditioned to, modern women in particular, modern women have been conditioned to believe a man who drives the bus has no value. And that's wrong. That's absolutely incorrect. He is much more valuable. I would even say he's much more valuable than the one who owns the bus, than the man who owns the bus, and the man who owns this block right here.
And who they are in the society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama.
You see what I mean? So these are the measurements that we should focus on when it comes to who we decide to lay up with, who we decide to spend our life with, to spend time with in general. These are the things that matter, not, oh, well, he owns the bus. That's what matters. No. How about he's an honest man. He takes care of me. He's kind. He's considerate. He's thoughtful. He's compassionate. Like these things that are intangible, but you could feel them. You could feel safe with him. That's what matters. So what? He drives a bus. He's good at it. He makes the best turns on the tight streets. Right? Oh, my man drives a bus. Okay.
If he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I could build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver.
There we have it. You could build. You know, if that's what you want to do, as far as if you want to do more, if you want him to be more than that, you could still meet him where he is if he's meeting these other measurements that are of much more standard than what Eboni K. Williams is presenting herself as. So there's that, right? So that's some background, that's some context here for you all, in case we forgot about this. In case we forgot, and I have not forgotten about this. So let's move on to present day. So present day, we learned just a couple of days ago that Eboni K. Williams is with child, and not even just with child. She's about to give birth to her first child in August of this year, like literally coming up to her first child, her baby girl, she says she will be, or she is. And people are having a hard time. A lot of these like quote unquote red pill men or even women. And look, I'm a little red pill too. Don't get me wrong. I'm a little conservative, not even a little. I'm a lot of bit conservative in some ways. Fine. But I'm like an a la carte type of person. I'm liberal here and I'm conservative there, but I'm just someone who's natural. Me saying this with a sew-in. I'm just natural. I'm here's what it is. I feel like we should be who we are, right? Naturally. So whatever that looks like for you, but just as humans, as women, as men, I think when we do our best to be someone we're not, that's what I don't like. And when we try to push agendas and narratives that pushes an unnatural aesthetic, I don't like that either. So anyway, that's just how I am. So yes, I'm a little a la carte, yada, yada, yada. So Eboni K. Williams revealed that she is having a baby. It's her first child. And she's done this through IVF and a sperm donation, meaning she is choosing single motherhood. There's no physical man in sight. Yes, she got the sperm from a man, right? Obviously, but she got it from the sperm bank. And she actually saved her eggs. She froze her eggs a few years ago and decided a year or two ago to go through with, not even a year or two ago, but like probably a year ago, to go through with their with her first try with this IVF process. So I'm gonna share the screen for this story here. And let's just look. I'm gonna say this. Here's what I'm gonna say. I like it. I like it. I read this entire art. Maybe I read most of it. I don't think I finished it, but I read a lot in this article of Eboni K. Williams. This is from People Magazine, people.com. And I love it. Congrats to her. Let's start off with that. Congratulations to Eboni K. Williams. I am happy for her. I think this is a beautiful thing. Why do I think, Maxine, you just said you believe in natural. Here's what it is. I don't think men, or maybe even some other women, understand how much of a desire that some, not all, maybe not even most, but there are some women, maybe even a lot, but there are some women, I feel like that's fair enough to say, some women out here who desire to become a mother, who desire to carry their own child, who desire to have a child of their own, right? So this is a desire that is innate. This is a desire that is an experience that a woman wants to experience in her body. They want to feel their child growing inside of them and to have this experience, to have this reality, to have this dream come to fruition. This is something more than just, oh, I want a new car. I really want to, no. I want to be a mother. There are a lot of women who want this. And some of these women don't get to have this experience because they are waiting for their Prince Charming. We just listened to Eboni K. Williams talking about how she went to date a bus driver, and she seems to be, from what we could tell, she seems to be someone who's very picky, someone who isn't going to settle, and it just is what it is. Like, it's her way or no way. Yet she still wants a child, right? She still wants to become a mother naturally, as much as naturally possible in this case. So what does that mean? to the red pillars out here who's saying, and I know I'm using red pill derogatory here, but to those out here who's trying to bash her for choosing single motherhood because it was going to affect the baby and every child should have a mother and a father. It's like, look, we have to respect this desire that she has and let her experience this beautiful blessing. I think it's a blessing. I really do. And I think it's unfair for women like her who may desire and may not have the picture perfect reality that we see on TV, that we see in these movies and in these shows and on Instagram, of how a family, oh, I have this perfect husband, I have this perfect life, we have this perfect house, look at our perfect baby. Some people don't have that experience. But if I could have a little bit of that, if I could have like some pieces of it, go off. Go off. Why not? I look, I feel like it's fine. Yeah, she seems to be a well-resourced woman. I think she is well-to-do, so it's not like she can't afford it. And yes, money doesn't always mean her life will be great, right? But I think she'll have more access, and I think she'll have more opportunity. So regardless of her being a single mother in this case, I still feel like her life will be fine, as much as it can be. And yes, when this child grows up, she may have questions like, oh, how come I don't have a dad like my friend Lauren does? Well, ma'am, you were born through a tube. look, and it just is the fuck. It is what it is, dog. Like, I think we have to stop acting like there aren't a lot of examples of other children out here living with a single parent. This is not an anomaly here. Eboni K. Williams won't be the last, the first, the middle, like she is one of many households who has one parent. So for us to give Eboni K. Williams, not us, I'm not doing it, for other people to give Eboni K. Williams a hard time for this decision that she made, I feel like that's just whack. And I feel like it's so like judgmental. It's like this snooty, oh, you don't have a husband. No, some people are not lucky enough, I guess, if you want to look at it as lucky or not. But the point is, like, not everyone has that exposure, or the statistics don't work in their favor. So sorry, I thought I heard a fly. The statistics don't work in their favor. So it's like, what am I not supposed to experience motherhood at all? No. No. Anyway, I love it. I'm happy for her. Shout out to her. She says here, quote, let's see. Anybody who's gone through IVF or attempted IVF will tell you so many things have to go right for the final result of this journey to be a baby. That's why I've called this my remarkable miracle, because it really does feel like I've been the recipient of some very enormous favor from God above. She is giving her daughter the nickname One of One because to her it represents luck, and that she made her dream of getting pregnant into a reality. She says here, what she says, I did one egg retrieval at 34 years old, not really having a clear intention on if I would use those eggs or when I would use the eggs. And 6 years later, that one egg retrieval led to one genetically normal embryo, which led to one successful embryo transfer and one pregnancy later. I'll soon have, God willing, one beautifully healthy baby girl. So it really does feel like fate. Okay, that is a beautiful thing. Look at this lovely photo here of her posing. And some women don't look pregnant, right? Like, yes, she is obviously pregnant. You see her stomach, but her face isn't fat and heavy and full. Her body for the most part, is still tight and right. It's just this protruding belly. She says here, I want to say that with conviction and clarity, I was not the little girl that grew up fantasizing about having kids and what I would name them and all of that. She says that was not my dream or fantasy. I had no real expectation around it. I want to get to the part where it talks about why. Okay, there we go. I was really thinking I would never use them, whether I got married again or didn't. It was a pandemic and having some real existential conversations within my own self about legacy and life and love and the different ways in which I really wanted to explore family. And let's talk about that too. Family. Hello, we know the show titled Modern Family. There are so many different family dynamics. So many different, like, it's not the typical anymore. It's not the typical like mother, father, son, and daughter. Ta-da. No, sometimes you have two moms. Sometimes you have two dads. Whether you agree with that or not, I'm not even here to judge that. No, I'm not. But I'm saying, and sometimes you have a mother and her three sons. Sometimes you have a father and his two daughters and one son. Sometimes you have a stepdad and the biological, like, families look differently. Sorry, what did I just say? Families look different. Families look different. So she says here, I really freed myself of the rigidness of what legacy, love, and family could look like. I love that. She freed herself. There are the three pillars I reassessed, and it helped shake me from the idea of I have to have it this way on this timeline. Everyone else is following. I want to get to the part where she talks about, I had realized this aspect of the American dream for myself, and I felt like I could really provide for a child in a way that feels stable and safe and secure. Where is the part that I was just, okay, it must be this. There we go. There will always be that voice that says, maybe I should have waited to meet a man and remarry before I had a baby. Maybe I should not be trying to do this alone. But F that, she says. I'm not waiting. I'm 40 years old. I'm not waiting to build assets. I'm not waiting to build my career. I'm not waiting to travel. And I'm certainly not waiting to start a family. If nothing else from this article that I read to y'all touched you, it's this quote right here. I'm not waiting. And I'm saying that because sometimes we think like, oh, I have to wait until I get married to buy my first house. Oh, I have to wait, or house in general. It could be a second house, whatever. I'm not waiting, or someone could say, oh, I'll wait until I have friends who want to go with me to Europe, to travel through Europe. I'll wait till I have friends, or a group of friends who's committed to go with me and follow this itinerary. And like, we say all these things like, oh, I'll wait until this. I'll wait. Do that shit now. Just do it. Oh, I'll wait until I'm 35 before I cut off my hair and start a new hairstyle. I'll wait until. Who are you waiting for? Like, what's going on? What are you who are you waiting for, and why are you waiting? Because you're waiting doesn't mean it'll happen. Hello? Is my mic on? Your waiting does not guarantee that whatever you're waiting for will happen. Do that shit right now. Do that shit right now. Go ahead and get started on that business. Go ahead and get started on the family that you want to start. Go ahead and get started on that new career pivot. Go ahead and go purchase that new house that you've been meaning to get, but I'll just rent until I meet my husband, until I meet my wife. But this is particularly painted towards women. This is particularly painted towards women because women are conditioned to wait on their man in order to create this life. I remember I was friends with this girl, and she said, mind you, we were working together, starting off our careers in education around the same time. And she said to me, I'm just ready to start my life. I'm ready to begin my life. And she was referring to having a family, being married, and all. And look, I'm not saying it's wrong to have these desires, in that particular desire. I'm not saying that, but it was her framing of that rubbed me the wrong way. Like, ma'am, you're living your life right now. You're currently living, like, this is your life right now. You're living it. So this idea of I have to wait until my life begins the day I get married. My life begin, like, no, like, what are we talking? Because, and the reason why I'm so annoyed with that is, what if that never happens for you? What if that never happens for you? What if it never works out for you? And you're 45, you're 47, you're 50, and you're waiting. It's not happening. Like, who's gonna break the fucking news to you? You're waiting for what? Do that shit right now. Go ahead and travel right now. Go ahead. And look, IVF, sperm donor, all that jazz is not cheap. It is not cheap from what I hear. From just watching other people's comments regarding this topic with Eboni K. Williams, it's like 50 bands. And that's for a session. That's like 4 rounds. Because you gotta do these rounds, you gotta get that injected in you. All of that costs. I don't know if insurance does Blue Cross Blue Shield cover this? No. Your copay of $35 will not cover this. Out of pocket. Yeah, that'll be $50,000. Do you want credit or Venmo, Zelle? That's $50,000. The point is, stop waiting. Like, and look, God forbid, you don't make it to that point. Like, what I'm saying, I don't want to sound morbid, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I just don't want us to continue to wait. That's why I always have this sense of urgency. Like, I'm always like, I gotta start this business now. I have an idea. I'll do this. I want to travel this place right now. Oh, I like this guy. I want to go ahead and pursue him. I don't give a fuck. Because you never know. You never know. Feel that happiness right now. Live your life right now. Go ahead and have that baby right now. So congrats to Eboni K. Williams. I love this quote, and I'm happy for her. I hate that some people, I'm not saying everyone, but I hate that some people are just trying to rain on her parade and, oh, she's being selfish, and, oh, she's not considering the child. The child's going to have questions. Okay, you have a conversation with your child. You have a fucking conversation with your child. Like, your child will have an understanding of her reality. Like, this idea of only children understand the mother and father household. No, she'll understand, hey, I'm not the only one who has a mother and only a mother. Hello? I'm not the only one who is she's not the only test tube baby. I promise you. She'll be fine. She'll have questions. Her mother will have answers. There'll be resources there. I'm sure she has a village around her, and she may have father figure examples that can be present in her child's life. So maybe she doesn't have a romantic partner right now, but she may have one later on. Who knows? And not even in the romantic sense, she may have a father in her life who's still living, God willing, or an uncle, a brother, a good male friend. All of these things, like, there are other people, like, there's a village. That's why people say that quote. You raise a child through a village, right? You know, it takes a village to raise a child. Like, it's not just this mother and father dynamic and that's it. No, you can live a full life. You can live a full life. Oh, my daughter's gonna have, okay, answer the questions. Answer the questions. No, I hate that shit. She's gonna have questions, and how do you explain to answer the questions? This is it. This is the reality. First of all, stop comparing your life to other people. That's the first part of the conversation. If your daughter asks that question, say, first of all, be appreciative of what you have. Stop comparing your life to Lauren's, to Jake's, to Smith and Bob. I'm just naming these names. But anyway, I just want to say all this to say congrats to Eboni K. Williams. I'm happy for her. I wish her well. May she have a safe and lovely delivery, and blessings to her on her motherhood. That's amazing. So shout out to her. And again, stop waiting. Fuck that. Like she says, fuck that. I want to just like copy and paste this and read this everywhere I go. But I live my life like this anyway. So shout out to her. Like, if you want to move to a new state, go. Stop waiting. If you want to quit that job, go. Stop. Maybe don't do that. I mean, look, maybe. I'm not saying, but the point is, stop waiting. For what? For what? Okay, so speaking of daughters, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's biological daughter, her name is Shiloh. She recently changed her last name and dropped the Pitt part of her last name. Yes. The audacity. Like, can we just start there? Can we start there? So if you guys don't know, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were married, but went through a nasty divorce. She accused him of being abusive towards their kids. They not only had biological children together, but they adopted a few kids as well. And it's like it's like a freaking like orphanage in that house because it's like 8 kids of them. Anyway, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 of them. So, and from how it's painted out in the media, it seems like Angelina is characterizing Brad Pitt as this awful parent, this awful human being, and basically making her kids hate him. And it's just a sad thing to watch. It really was. While this was going on, nonetheless, this is what's been happening between the father and Shiloh and probably the rest of his kids. I think Maddox, who is the one who was one of the 2 or 3 that was adopted. They had a strained relationship as well. So anyway, Shiloh decided to drop the Pitt from her last name. She's 18 years old, and originally her last name consisted of both of theirs. So Jolie and Pitt. So her name was Jolie. Her name was Shiloh Jolie Pitt. First of all, what? Something had to drop because that name combination, something had to drop. But God bless. Brad Pitt is aware of this, and he says here he's aware and upset that Shiloh dropped his last name. He's never felt more joy than when she was born. He always wanted a daughter. And it is really sad. I brought up the story because I think it's just such a nasty thing whenever parents are battling, whether it's in the media or not. This happens all the time. Like, this is not just exclusive to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. This is common amongst couples who have decoupled, right? This is just a normal thing that happens and it's not okay. I wish that there would be a way for children to not get involved in their parents' issues or battles. But unfortunately, sometimes the mother or the father, but oftentimes we see more so from the mother how she tries to strain and implant this negative narrative when it comes to their father. However he treated you as his ex has or should have no bearing on the children. It really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Kids should have been shielded from what took place between them, but that's obviously not what happened here. So I just want to give my heart out to Brad Pitt. Shout out to Brad Pitt, who is 60 years old and looking fine as hell. God. But yeah, so Brad Pitt is, I feel sorry for him. I just feel sorry for men. I really do. Pick me. I know y'all pick him. Pick me. But no, I do feel sorry for men who experience this and it's not warranted. Let's be very specific. I'm not feeling sorry for men who goes through this, but it's deserved, right? Maybe the dad really wasn't shit. Maybe the dad really, yeah. But we also have to look at that with the caveat too. A lot of times, these fathers who aren't in the lives of their children, either as often or at all, it is primarily due to the mother being the obstacle here, the mother being the barricade here, the mother saying, he doesn't want to see you, he doesn't love you. And then the child, I don't want to go to dad's house, dad doesn't love me. How do you know dad doesn't love you? What makes you say that? Oh, mom told me that. What? Or the mom always canceling or finding a way to conflict the plans of seeing and spending time with their children from the father, finding a way to get in the way of that. So all in all, I'm saying this to say this is something that takes place because matters of the heart, if we don't know how to regulate our emotions as women, we become very toxic. So never mind putting your child, the one you gave birth to, in the mix. You're going to use that child as bait. And I'm going to find more ways to hurt this person who hurt me. And it's like, when do we become adults? When do we become adults? So shout out to Brad Pitt. I wish him well. I'm sorry that he's going through this. And Shiloh, look, at first I thought she was a boy because she initially, when she was a kid, they dressed him. See, if you look at this picture right now, you share this page, share the screen. She is looking like a young boy right here. This is when she was much younger. This was back in 2014. Okay, this is Shiloh. Looking like a young boy, looking like Home Alone, looking like that's what she's looking like. Yeah, this is who she is right now. So what? She's confused. She's confused. The parents are confusing her. She was confused from a very young age, and now she's going by just Shiloh Jolie. So she's been through some things, you know. She's been through some things, and now she is taking it out on her dad, removing his last name from her, like trying to basically detach herself entirely from her father, whose blood is in her. Like, his DNA is in you. It's because of you. It's because of him. You're here. You're alive. Like, this. It's just sad. It's sad to see, and this is obviously not exclusive to Brad and Angelina. This is an epidemic. Okay. We got to find the cure for this. We got to figure this out. Okay. So X, formerly known as Twitter, now has porn. I'm gonna say corn for, censorship issues, yada yada yada. What's odd about this revelation or this new groundbreaking story? There's been corn on X. Hello? Is it just me? But I've been watching corn on X. I've been watching adult content on X. Elon Musk now officially allows NSFW, so not suitable for work content, on X, formerly known as Twitter, but there are some restrictions. So it says here in this quote, you may share consensually produced, see the keyword here, and distributed adult nudity or sexual behavior, provided it's properly labeled and not prominently displayed. Now, the last part there, I don't know what he means by prominently displayed. Like, it has to be in a hidden tab. What are we talking about? Is it not on my timeline or is it not? Where can I find the adult content? And making sure that it's consensual. So whoever is producing this video, whoever's in the video, make sure it's consented all through and through. So the actors in it better be better consented. The experience, the production, and the distribution of this video should have been consented as well. Like, we get it, obviously, but you still gotta say it for legal reasons. He says here, we believe that users should be able to create, distribute, and consume material related to sexual themes as long as it's consensually produced and distributed. Sexual expression, whether visual or written, can be a legitimate form of artistic expression. We believe in the autonomy of adults to engage with and create content that reflects their own beliefs, desires, and experiences, including those related to sexuality. So there we have it. You could watch adult content that's legal, because apparently, I mean, I don't know what he's trying to say here, but I guess he's saying, look, your page won't get flagged or you won't get a strike if you were to upload consensually produced and distributed adult content. So, hey, to the future. There we have it. So that's great. Good news. Good news. Let's go ahead and get into our next topic. So Azealia Banks describes A$AP Rocky as a butch queen. Look, if Azealia Banks don't do anything else, she will read you down. She is good for good reading. I feel like she is a masterclass for knowing how to diss somebody and cuss someone down. And she does it so eloquently, so well versed, because she shows her intelligence. She's barely cussing or using any type of profane language. She is analyzing you to the T and really just slaying you down with her reads. I find it very, very entertaining and quite enlightening. Let's go ahead and get into it. So she says here, A$AP Rocky is a butch queen, if I'm saying that correctly. And she's also defending Chris Brown while doing so. So how did this come about? Let's see. So just a few days ago, or a couple of days ago, actually, Azealia Banks describes Chris Brown as the best artist of this generation and described the backlash over his assault on Rihanna as, quote, self-righteous BS. She says here that she claims that A$AP Rocky is gay. If you guys don't know, the Butch Queen comment obviously is a gay description one would give a woman who presents herself as a masculine figure while dating other women, and suggesting the Fenty billionaire would have been better off with Chris Brown. Sorry, my nose is itching. Oh, I hate when this happens. It just only happens, not only, but mostly happens when I'm recording. It's like maybe me talking irritates my nose. Anyway, so let me go ahead and share this too. So you're not only looking at me scratching my nose like a crackhead. I promise you, I don't do anything up my nose. Up my throat, different. Up my throat is a little different. But up my nose, no. Okay, so she says here, look at who she's with now, referring to Rihanna. A nigga that wears back out shirt. What's wrong with Azealia Banks? Is she just woke up? Like, I'm gonna go ahead and tear down Rihanna and ASAP Rocky. Golly, she says a nigga that wears back out shirts. He's on camera shooting one of his best friends, on camera kicking a female fan in the face. Really? She continued trashing ASAP Rocky's rapping abilities and accusing him of hiding his sexuality. She thinks that he's a butch queen. She doesn't know how nobody told Rihanna that. Maybe she like it. Maybe she's into that stuff. But Rocky's definitely not a straight man. That's what she said. That is all what she said. These are not my thoughts. These are not my claims. This is an entertainment, educational podcast. What I say here is not facts, is not legal advice. This is just my commentary. So please don't take it as anything more. And if you are liking this episode, if you have been watching me and you have if you have been watching and listening, whether you're listening solely on an audio device or an audio platform, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and leave a positive review, because you're a fan. Figure ass nigga, you a 69 guy. So shout out to you for listening and supporting this independent platform, or this independent podcast, I should say, in particular. She says here, are we really responsible for trying to make Chris Brown's life a living hell? If sis is not responsible enough to make good choices of partner, it's kind of weird. Let's pause right there, because she's kind of reading her down. Okay, so yeah, Rihanna's done a lot of menacing and a lot of effing with B words just to end up with a gay boy. Child, a broke, untalented gay boy at that. What is wrong with Azealia Banks? Like, she just went in. She went in. Now, let's talk about that last part, though. How she's saying Chris Brown has been blackballed, or maybe he was blackballed for just a certain amount of time, but he has been packing out stadiums and, has been doing pretty well for himself. He has a lot of support. And Chris Brown said recently that he is not, people say that he's blackballed all the time, but he has sold out concerts. He has sold out venues. He's doing pretty well. For someone who's blackballed, did I say blackout earlier? For someone who's blackballed, that nigga is blacking out. What? That nigga's having a blackout. That's how many people that's how many people support him. Now, am I really a Chris Brown fan? Not like that. I think sometimes he does have a hit or two, but I'm not necessarily like following his career. I love that Sensational record. Sensational. I love it. And there's no denying this man's talented. Like, of course, he could sing, he could dance, he could act. Like, he is an all-around renaissance. He's an artist as like a painter. maybe graffiti artist more specifically at that. But nonetheless, he is very, very talented on all fronts, on a lot of fronts at least. Whew, okay, everything's okay. Sorry, my picture frame fell down. Anyway, we're good. And so he is very, very talented. Now, it says here that she thinks that Rihanna should take some responsibility for the types of men that she chooses to engage with romantically. Now, this is not an odd thing to say, but it's not something that's said often, because a lot of times in relationships that are abusive, we tend to only fixate on the abuser, right? And that's typically the man. So we never really give much attention or conversation towards the women who pick out these men time and time again. Like, I remember being younger. I was in college, in undergrad, and I remember like being with a group of folks and we was having conversations. One girl talked about how she was with this guy. I think he was her first boyfriend. She was like 16. I don't know how old he was. And he was abusive towards her. And I'm thinking to myself, how is that? If I get one more text, okay, look, I'm about to, quick story. I'm about to get a wax. It's been a while. And I'm not much of a waxer these days because my man likes me natural. No, but I also it feels relieving to be in a relationship with a man who appreciates me as I am. Doesn't mean that I'm not always going to that I'm not ever going to wax again or, whatever. But the point is, he doesn't require or mandate me to wax. Like, you better wax that pussy, or you better wax those legs before you see me. He's not like that at all. So I love that. That's like one of the main things I love about him. You better accept my hairy pussy. It's a joke, but it's not. No, seriously. I really appreciate that, because I remember being with a guy years ago, and he was upset that my stubby hair, the hair on my legs, you know how your hair is growing back after a wax, after like a few weeks. So it was like in that stubby phase. So it wasn't like hairy, but it was like starting to grow. And he said a comment. He was like rubbing my legs. And he was like, "Oh, you gotta get that shit. You gotta get that shape. You gotta get that wax." And I was just that was a big red flag to me. That's just me. I know some people are very regimented on it. And prior to me being with this man with Freckles Bay, I used to go to the wax center every couple of weeks, like very much strict. So it's good on my pockets too, because that shit's not cheap, it's not free. So thank you for the savings. Anyway, I keep getting these damn text reminders. Looking forward to welcoming you at your reservation. Click yes or type yes to confirm. And then they text me again. And then I didn't respond to the second one or the first one. So they text me again talking about, "Hi, we see that you haven't confirmed your reservation for today." I'll be there. Until I say I'm not going to be there, I'm not going to be there. But I'll be there. Like, can you cut it out? So I responded with confirm. And then they text me again talking about see you later at the reservation. At this point, I want to just cancel. At this point, you're doing too much. Anyway, I'm looking forward to having smooth legs again. All right, let's wrap this shit up. Anyway, so shout out to Azealia Banks. I enjoy her readings. She is a reader. Maybe she should join my book club. Hey, did I share with you guys I have a book club? Yeah, so I started my own book club. I think I started top of the year, and it's mostly on. It's only been online. It's only been virtual. So we meet via Zoom. If you are an avid reader like myself, if you love to read just interesting stories, we read a variety of different stories, different books. So whether that's horror, do y'all say it like that too? Suspense, romance, any of that jazz. Maybe you want to join my book club. It's called More Reads Book Club. It's on the book club. It's an app, so it's book club. It's literally called book club. If you go to your app store on your device, and you could go to it on your computer or your any device you have. You could go to bookclubs.com. Or is it just book club? Let me make sure. There we go. It's just book clubs with the S at the end. Bookclubs.com. So if you are interested in joining my book club, go ahead and click that invite button or request for an invite. There are 3 short questions you could answer that you have to answer for approval to, I got to screen you. I got to make sure you're good people. So it's just a yes or no response. So nothing major. You don't have to write an essay. But yeah, I love to read, and I also have an Instagram page for the book club. So it's called More Reads Book Club on Instagram. So if you are interested, I encourage you to follow, and you'll see what we're reading. And I encourage you to check us out on book clubs, bookclubs.com, and Book Club, the app is literally just called Book Club. It's called Book Clubs on the App Store. So yeah, so book clubs both ways.com and book clubs in the App Store on your phone. And I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I appreciate every supporter, every listener. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, as well as you are subscribed to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Tell a friend, and I will check in with you all next time. Peace.